All right, good afternoon. I'm Heath Halley. This is Brian Reckrodt. He's a good friend of mine. We're here to talk about the Mo Beef program and Reckrodt Farms donating the beef to us. So, Brian, why don't you talk a little bit how about you and your family got into the cattle business and what's your group, who's involved and what you guys do now?
We've been in the cattle business. Well, I grew up on a farm in Pollock, and since I was in third grade, and so we've been around cattle farming ever since then. So after I graduated, I left because I didn't want to be a farmer. It was too hard work.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I left for a while, and Brent and I periodically we'd come back and we invested in some properties, and so we just figured at some point we'd retire up here, and we did. So in 2012, we moved and made Unionville our permanent home.
Awesome. So retiring to farm, man. That sounds like work to me.
Yeah, I put in a lot more hours now.
Yeah. All right. So what kind of cattle operation do you guys have? What are you running right now?
We run cow calf, and we background calves, Simmental and Angus, and cross. So
sure.
Yeah, but we'll background them after we wean them. We'll background them up to 850 pounds, and then we'll sell them.
All right. Well, and what's the farm or ranch name? What do you guys?
Reckrodt Farms.
Reckrodt Farms. Mm-hmm. All right. So now we get in talking about the importance of rural Missouri and rural America to our country. But what's important about rural farms and the place we have in our society?
I think it creates a different work ethic. Because growing up, I mean, things had to be done. You couldn't just get sick and say, I can't do it today. And so it creates a different work ethic. And I see that throughout a lot of the kids that grow up in the rural areas. But sometimes in the cities, it's like, no, I'm just not going to do that today. But you don't have that choice, in my opinion, and when you grow up on a farm, because you've got stuff to do. Cattle have to be fed.
You look back 2 weeks ago when we had all the ice and snow. The world didn't stop. You still had to be out checking waters, feeding cattle, unrolling hay, making sure everything's all right.
You get out of the pickup and you get in the tractor.
Yeah.
And you figure out how to do it without sliding off the road, because the cattle are sitting there and they need fed.
That's right. I talk about grit a lot. To make sure you have what it takes to get whatever it is you have to get done. And I was raised on a farm in northern Putnam, and that's why where we are is raising our kids same thing,
right.
to that work ethic and determination. What do you think is important, the connection to farm to school? When we started this program, and what does it mean to have local beef, and what just that small farm mentality to a rural school?
Well, I think the product, I believe the product is a much better product whenever it comes off a local farm, because we do things different. Whenever you're buying beef from the store, it's basically just a slaughtered cow. I mean, that's what it is, and it was not prepared. So I think that one, you get a better product, and I think the kids understand that, because you can taste it. It is just a much better tasting.
Oh, without a doubt. They always know when we've used local beef now. Yeah. They can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll encourage them, whenever they grow up, and hopefully some of them will go back into farming, and they'll continue the process and help donate beef too.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were raised on a farm. I don't think, did you raise any of your children locally on a farm?
No, my one son, he was born, we were down south, and I was in a completely different business. And we'd come back, and some summers he would come back without us and just work on the farm. But he went to the military, and now he's out and he's down in Huntsville. So
sure, very good. All right. So obviously it saves a little bit of money for us here at school having that stuff donated. We anticipate we go through about roughly 7,000 to 8,000 pounds of ground beef in a year, which is hard to believe. And so we've been really blessed. We've had a lot of folks get involved and take part of this process. But besides saving us some money, you were talking just briefly about it, but from birth to death, we really know where that beef comes from and how it's raised, and and the differences. So besides just the money, to talk about that a little bit, just the quality of you mentioned it earlier, but
Well, you know where the calf was born, and you know the genetics of the calf, and frankly, I mean, if it wasn't worth anything, then we wouldn't be raising it.
mm-hmm.
So, as a farmer, you continue to try and strive to get better genetics and better cattle on the farm. So, as you continue to do that, then all your cattle obviously just continue to get better and better and better. You hope.
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah, you hope.
Because you're out there trying to earn a living
Yeah,
and make a profit, right? You just don't
Yeah.
get up early and stay up late
Yes.
and hazard all those weather things just because. I mean, there's a goal in mind. So, what inspired you to donate and get involved in part of this process?
I just thought it was a great idea when you came up with this. I'm like, how do you do that? Because I thought there were government rules that said you couldn't, but apparently there's not. And you got around this, and I thought, what an excellent idea. There is so many farmers that should be doing this in this county and neighboring counties. I don't get why there's not people lined up.
Well, that's what's been inspiring to me is the number of superintendents that after that original podcast called. I mean, I've probably talked to 8 or 10 different school districts, and I know 2 or 3 of them, some of them have done better than we did. They had better ideas, and good for them, and I'm stealing from them now. And
Oh, that's great.
so it's not just Putnam County. I know there's over in Mercer County, Princeton, Jerry's picked it up, and they're doing that over there. And to me, that's what the inspiring part is that one of our community members Tim had a great idea, and that first podcast we had over 10,000 views in 24 hours, and we all know there are not that many people in Putnam County,
No,
so to me that was pretty special because we impacted a lot of people, for that sort of success. You and I haven't really talked about it, but what other ways could I don't raise beef. How could I get involved in this process?
Well, you can help feed them out. You can donate to the funds to feed. You can help haul them to the slaughterhouse. The monetary is a very good way to go. If someone's in town and they have the means, then monetary donations to help the farmer who is already committed, maybe they'll be able to commit to if they get some help from somebody in town. Why not?
Yep.
Then you're part of the process, and again, you're putting a better product in the school.
Yeah, involved, engaging kids' lives, whether it's directly or indirectly, I think is always positive. You talked about government regulations. The only one is that we have to go to a USDA inspected slaughterhouse. So we're over there in Schuyler County using those folks, and there's a gentleman there south of Kirksville that we could be using in the future as he gets things lined up. But
and I don't understand why anybody would not do a USDA anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's
Makes a lot of sense.
Everything that we
doesn't it?
do for ourselves, it's all USDA. So and we use the same place that you're using right now. So
Well, I want to thank you and Brendan, your family, for being involved and donating to our kids.
Gary and Sean Tonnen are part of the process. That's my brother.
Yeah.
And so Gary and Sean Tonnen and Brendan and I are Reckrodt farms.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate y'all and
Well,
thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right.